A very good morning, everyone. Myself, Deepa Mishra, professor at Sahyo College, and it gives me immense honor to welcome each one of you in the second edition of Go With the Trend 2022, where we conduct online certification program on different trending technologies. Taking this ahead, this year also, we are organizing certifications on software testing, ASP.NET, digital marketing, Python, and Android. And today is the first day of our first certification program, which is on the topic software testing. And we have with us corporate trainer, Ms. Nisha Patil. She's having 5 years of experience in manual as well as automation testing. And currently she's working at Capgemini. Now I request Nisha ma'am to start this session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deepa. And a very good morning to each and everyone. And first of all, I'm very sorry that I'm not able to enable my camera due to some access issues. So sorry for that. But yeah, so everyone, very good morning. And we'll start out as Deepa has already shared the pamphlets with you. In that, we have already mentioned what are the topics that we are going to cover in this 4-day session seminar, you can say. So we are going to cover all of the manual as well as automation topics. And at the end of the session, you'll be able to understand what is the need of software testing and what are the basic concepts in software testing. And while after completing your graduation, when you'll be appearing the interviews, at that time you'll be, I'll be sharing the interview questions as well in at the end of the seminar, at the end of the session, like how the interviewer will be going to ask you interview questions related to software testing. So yeah, that is the overview, and I think we'll start with the session. And before starting the session, I just wanted to make sure that this session will be interactive, right? So you all people are not able to speak because you're all mute, but in the chat box you can mention your comments and everything, so accordingly we'll interact in this session. So yeah, we'll start with the session. I'm just sharing my screen. Let me know if all able to see my screen or not. You can mention in the chat box. Deepa, are you able to see my screen, each and everyone, or? Okay. Okay. So before starting, I just want to ask you one question. So according to you, what is software testing, or what do you know about software testing? You can mention in the chat box. Anyone? To find bugs in the software, Amir. Before launching, find any loopholes to find out the bugs. Okay. Okay. Testing the software is the company we work in to find any errors. Problem or not, bug hunting, validation and verification. Okay. To test the software with user satisfaction. Okay. So all of you are mentioning that to find defects, we need to check the customer satisfaction. One is saying finding the errors, one is saying verification and validation. So yeah, we are going to cover all of these topics. Then introduction to software testing. First, we'll check what is the software, okay, and the need of software. So what is the software first? A collection of instructions or procedures which perform according to the requirement. So here, what is requirements? That also we are going to see in depth in upcoming sessions. So requirements are what? Customer is having some requirements. They are, take example, customer wants some application, they are giving the requirements. For example, there are lots of applications we are using in our mobile phones nowadays, right? For example, Google Pay, Paytm, WhatsApp, all of these applications that we are using, So that are based on customer requirements. Customer, for example, take a example. So that is the need of our day-to-day life, right? So suppose we want to connect, we want to chat, we want to make audio calls, video calls. Uh, that is the need of WhatsApp that we are using. So software is what is collection of instructions or procedures that is performing according to our requirements. So that is first software means application, and what is the need of that. So we are using these applications day to day life. Like previously Google Pay, Paytm, these applications was not there. So what we were used to do, like we need to go to ATM, we withdraw the money, and we are paying to the shops, like giving money. Now this, because of these applications, lots of time is saved, and we are able to do the cashless transactions. So that is the need of the software. Time, they are not time consuming, that saves our times and all. So industries like banking, insurance, defense, airline, medical, home appliances, each and every industry we are using software. So that is the need of software. Everywhere we are using software. In companies also we are using applications, right, to make each and everything easy. The next thing, then we are moving forward, then what is software testing and what is the need of software testing. Okay, so on software, do you have any questions? Like whatever I have explained, are you able to understand? Okay, so we'll moving forward to testing. What is software testing and what is the need, why we are using that? Okay, so as I mentioned in this PPT, testing is nothing but set of activities conducted with the intention of finding defects in software. So this is the theoretical term, you can definition you can say. So this PPT I'm going to share with Deepa, and she will share this PPT with all of your registered mail IDs. The content will be provided to you. So what is software testing in the basic term or basic manner, you can say, we are customer wants some requirements, so we are comparing those requirements with the application. So those requirements are fulfilling by that application or not. In the basic manner, you can say that is software testing. Okay, in the theoretical manner, the proper definition you can say, as mentioned in the PPT, a process of analyzing a software item to detect the differences between existing and required conditions. So what is existing means whatever application is developed, that are the existing requirements. So, and what is the required conditions, what client or customer wants from that application, that is the required condition. So we are comparing that. If it's matching, then customer is saying that, oh, we are satisfied with this application, whatever our requirements that fulfills by this application. So we can say the testing is find to detect the differences between existing and required conditions. So what is the need of software testing? So in history, if you check, if you Google, then there are lots of incidents happened. So I'll just give two examples. In April 2015, Bloomberg terminal in London crashed due to software glitch, affected more than 3 lakhs traders on financial market. So because of one software glitch, lots of impact happened at that time. The second example, in May 1996, software bug caused the bank accounts of 823 customers of major US bank to be credited with 920 million US dollars. So this much amount is credited to the 823 customers account because of one software glitch. So see the impact of one single mistake, one single software glitch. So software bugs could be expensive or even dangerous. That software bugs potentially cause monetary and human loss, like image reputation, then money. Lots of money issues are there. Impact of that software bug is very dangerous, you can say. So that's why software testing is very important. And in each and every company nowadays, they are hiring testers, like manual as well as automation. So we are going to discuss manual and automation as well in depth. So that is the need of the software. And what is the benefits of software testing? That as I already mentioned, money loss. So cost effective is one of the benefit. Then security, product quality. So whatever customer wants from us, what is the requirements from customer, that we need to fulfill. We need to fulfill means, suppose any customer or client has given any project to company, then developers need to develop, and that company will be responsible for providing that application according to the customer satisfaction, according to the customer requirements or not. So product quality is also one of the benefits of software testing. And last but not the least, customer satisfaction. So whatever customers requirements are there, clients requirements are there, we need to fulfill that requirements from our application. So that is the need of software testing. We need to check thoroughly the application according to that requirements. Each and every requirements should be fulfilled by that software. Okay. So any questions so far? Like, do you want any explanation or more explanation, or are you able to understand? Or give me your feedback, like I'm going too fast, or you want me to stop somewhere, or what. You can type in the chat box so that I can explain more briefly, or do you want me to explain some more things? Then I'll be happy to share that. Please let me know in the chat box. Are you able to understand what is software testing and what is the need of that? Too fast. Okay. Okay. Dharmavir, no means what you're saying. No, are you not able to understand? It's too fast, little fast. Okay. Okay, I'll explain again. So first of all, I have discussed what is testing. So as mentioned in the PPT, testing is nothing but set of activities conducted with the intention of finding defects in software. Okay, so I'll give a real life scenario, like for example, customer or client is having some requirements. Then that customer is approaching to the company that these are the requirements that we are having, and we need to develop a software, we need to develop a application. So what are the process that we are going to see in depth, how to develop the application, how we are covering the testing and all. So accordingly, the application is made in the company, and after that testing part is there. So what we are doing in testing is, what is testing? So whatever customer requirements are there, we are matching those requirements, we are comparing those requirements while checking the applications. So suppose I have some requirements, like I need one application. In that application, first module should be login. Okay, user should be logged in into the application, and after that there are 2 to 3 pages. Like after login, user should be redirected to home page. Okay, and from home page user should be redirected to another page. So these are my I'm giving just simple example. These are my requirements, that first user should be logged in, after that user should be redirected to home page only. Okay, so according to these requirements, company will develop that application, and testing is what? So I'm mapping my requirements to that applications. Now I'm checking that application, so user should be able to log in or not. Okay, so after login, user should be redirected to home page or not, because client has explicitly mentioned that after login, user should be redirected to this home page, and whatever home page should look like and all of these things are provided by client. So we are going to see these concepts, each and everything in detail in SDLC, software development lifecycle, and software testing lifecycle. Okay, so we are mapping our requirements, customers requirements, to that application. So in proper theoretical manner, you can say analyzing a software item to detect the differences between existing and required conditions. So that is software testing. So now you are able to understand what is testing, and I'll again explain what is the need. Okay. Okay. So need of software testing. So as I've given 2 examples, if you also Google, there are lots of examples related to software testing. Due to software glitch, lots of issues were happened in the history. Because of that loss, lots of money impact, human loss, lots of issues. You can say the impact of not testing the application properly because of one software glitch, lots of issues were happened. So I have given two examples. And in your day-to-day life, you can just we can say, suppose you have completed your graduation, okay, and you are applying for the jobs, okay, and in the you have already applied for one company and they have approached you, they have sent email to you or they have text message to you, but because of something, so you are very busy or what, you are not read that message. So what is the impact of that? Like, you'll be regretting after that, oh, I've missed that, they called me, or they might be later you can approach that company again, I was busy and all, that is the thing. But the impact that of not reading a single message. So that is the example of day-to-day life. It's not like software glitch or what, but that what I'm trying to say is, if you are not reading a single message, then you will be regretting. So whenever we are making the huge software application and one glitch, or what is the suppose client customer is not providing the proper requirements, and still again the company has not read the requirements properly, or they have not crossed, they have not asked any cross questions to the customers based on that requirements, then from starting the bug you can say, from starting the requirement is not proper, still you are developing the application. So at the end of the application, there are lots of bugs in that, there are lots of defects in that application, and the impact of that, a huge money loss, image, reputation and all. So that is the need. We need to check the requirements thoroughly, we need to map the customers requirements with the application properly. So that is the need of software testing. And as I mentioned in the PPT, something breaks, if something breaks within your application or portfolio, a quick, efficient and effective fix needs to happen as soon as possible. So understood? Okay. 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 So then we'll move on the next thing, that is a term bug, a computer bug. So this thing is not going to ask anyone like in the interview questions, but this is just for your information. So from where this term bug came from. So as I mentioned in the PPT, in 1947, Harvard University was operating a room-sized computer. They're operating the computer. The computer is called as Mark II. And a moth. A moth means a bug or a insect, you can say. An insect flew into the computer and it was zapped by the high voltage when it landed on a relay. So that insect flew, and because of that insect, the first computer bug, the term bug is came into the picture. That's why we are saying bug in the software testing for the defects. So we are going to see what is bug, also why we are saying bug, and what is the defect and what is the failure. Lots of questions that in the interviews interviewers will ask, so we'll see those terms as well. So this is just for your information from where this term bug came from. Okay, I think this is pretty much simple, as I mentioned in the PPT already. So I think there is no need to explain more related to this. Then we'll move on to the next topic, that is SDLC, software development life cycle. So yeah, all of you are obviously all of you are smart students. I just wanted to give here a quick explanation, you can say. So while we are asking the interview questions, what is SDLC, then students instantly reply, SDLC is software development lifecycle. Yes, it's right, it's software development lifecycle, but the answer should be SDLC stands for software development lifecycle. It is not software development lifecycle. So at the time of the interview, just need to understand these little things, like we are in the excitement or what, you can directly say SDLC is software development lifecycle. So it should not be in that way. You just need to say SDLC stands for software development lifecycle, and what is that SDLC, then you need to explain that thing. Sorry for this. So yeah, we are going to see what is software development life cycle. So for your information, theoretically I have explained in the PPT, and I'm going to share this PPT with you all. So in the basic manner, I'll explain. It's a journey of the software product or software application, you can say, from raw to original. Okay, so when client or customer is having some requirements, at that time that requirements are very raw, you can say. They're just having the idea, I just need to develop one application and I want this particular functionality, means one login functionality, and one suppose they want to create application for the laptops, you can say, or yeah, laptops, you can say. So in the laptop, first of all, user should be able to log in, and after that, whatever laptops they want to sell to the customers, then according to that they are dividing the modules, you can say, the small units, like one is for related to this company, Dell laptops, then laptops, like this. So they are distributing the types, or you can say the brands of that laptops. So these are the requirements. This is the application I want to develop. So client or customer is approaching to the company, they are giving the requirements, that is very raw. And what company will do, company is working on that, and not company. Now in the software development life cycle, we are going to see who all are included to make that application happen. Okay, so in the basic manner, you just understand this is the journey of your software application from raw to original. And why, what is the software development? As mentioned in the PPT, it ensures the quality and correctness of the software build. And we can say it consists of a detailed plan which explain how to plan, build, and maintain specific software. So we'll see there are the 6 phases of software development life cycle that we are going to see in software development life cycle. The very first phase is requirement gathering and analysis. So first tell me whatever I have explained related to software development life cycle, that is just the basic introduction. Are you able to understand that? And now in depth we are going to cover all of the phases of software development life cycle. What is the difference between Davis scopes? Okay, DLC. Okay. Yes. Okay, so the question asked by Pankaj. So we are going to cover that question as well. So first I'll explain what is SDLC thoroughly, and after that then we'll be covering the question. Okay. So first phase is requirement gathering and analysis. So what happens in this phase? As I mentioned, customer is having his their requirements, their raw requirements. So in projects, it depends on the project. In some projects, business analyst is available, means they are having business analyst, and in some projects, business analyst is not there. So when business analyst is present, analyst is gathering the requirements from the customer or client, you can say, and according to that they are preparing the BRS document. So what is BRS? Business requirement specification document. So here I have, as I already shared, I'm going to share this PPT with you. But apart from that, if anything else like BRS, the full form I have not mentioned here. If you want to note down some things, then you can note down. Okay. So BRS is business requirement specification document that business analyst is going to prepare. And after that BRS document, SRS is what? System requirement specification document is prepared by system analyst. So system analyst, you can say, the senior person in the project. They are going to review the BRS document. They are reviewing that document. They are doing analysis on the BRS document, and after that they are making system requirement specification documents. So the output of the requirement gathering and analysis phase, output or deliverable, you can say, is deliverable, that is the SRS document. System requirement specification document is the deliverable of this first phase, which is requirement gathering and analysis. So in short, what is the first phase? We have gathered the requirements and done some analysis on that, and according to we have prepared a system requirement specification document. So that is the very first phase. Okay. Then next, second phase is design. So for this design phase, input is SRS document, which is the outcome of first phase, a system requirement specification document. So that document is provided as an input to this design phase. Okay. So before coding begins, we need to design. So what is a design actually? So the two documents are prepared in this design phase, which is HLD and LLD. HLD stands for high level design, LLD stands for low level design. So high level design is for your entire system in the sense whatever requirements are given by your client or customer, according to that, how the pages or how the flow of your entire application should look like, according to high level design document is prepared. For example, first user is login to the page, and after that, after login, user is moving to this page, and from that page user should be moved to the next page. Means how is the flow for the entire system, that will be covered in high level design. And what is the low level design? So suppose now login page is there. So in login page, where your fields should be placed, like username field, password field, cancel button, login button. So these are the fields, right? So in low level design, what what they are doing is where your username field should be placed, username, password, cancel, login fields should be placed on the page. That will be covered in low level design. So according to this high level design and low level design, these are the two outcomes of the design phase. So for this design phase, based on the projects, means if the project budget is very high, so you'll get to know when you actual work in organization. At that time you'll get to know if the project budget is very high, then for this high level design and low level design, they are hiring the another designers, UX designers and all. So while they are preparing the screenshots, how the system should look like, or in some projects, a client or customer is only providing the screenshots. Okay, so that is the this second design phase. So far, I've just covered two phases for software development lifecycle: requirement gathering, analysis, and this design. So that is clear or not? Okay. Okay, so the third phase is coding phase. So everyone knows in coding phase what. So according to the project, based on the requirements and all, technologies will be technologies is decided. Means we need to develop the application using Java language or using some another language. That decision is already made. So in this coding phase, we just developers need to develop the application according to the requirements. So the input for this coding phase is, first of all, the outcome of first phase, SRS, system requirement specification document, and outcome for design phase is high level design and low level design document. So these three are the inputs for coding phase. So according to this, and whatever mentioned in the documents according to the requirements, because in HLD and LLD all of the things are mentioned, how your system flow should move from one page to another, and in LLD where are your fields on the pages should be placed. So according to that, developers are going to develop the application. So not only one developer in the project, there are lots of developers are there. So they are going to divide the requirements into the modules, you can say. So there are lots of modules in most of the companies now. Agile module is following. So in Agile, what happens? There are teams of testers, developers, Scrum Master, and also this also we are going to cover. in the upcoming sessions related to Agile. So in this coding phase, developers are dividing the modules, like the login module is developed by this particular developer and another home page is developed by another developer. So according to that, they are dividing the requirements, and according to that, they're building the application. So once they are building the application in units, you can say, okay. So after this, one developer has completed login and another has completed the home page. And after that, integration will happen. So we're going to see this unit testing and integration testing, all of the things, how we are then integrating the application, and after that we are testing them. So in this coding phase, according to the requirements, developers are building the application, and at the end, they are preparing the source code document. That is the outcome of this phase, source code document and build, which is .exe file. These are the two outcomes of this coding phase. So I have just explained in real life scenario what is this coding phase, and as I'll read in the PPT, what I've mentioned is the system design phase is over. The next phase is this coding. In this phase, developers start build the entire system by writing code using the chosen programming language. In this phase, these tasks are divided into units or modules and assigned with the various developers. This is the longest phase of the software development life cycle. Longest, why we are saying longest? Because of large requirement, developers need some time to develop the application. So that's why this is longest phase. Then coding is the phase when your team works on the actual software and translates software specification and requirements into computer code. So that is the coding phase. And after this coding, the next phase is testing. So I think this phase is like everyone is pretty much sure. I'm pretty much sure that coding, everyone is able to understand what is the coding phase and know any further doubts on this. Okay. Only Harsh, which programming need to testing software, which programming language needs to test the software. Okay, it's based on the if you work in organization, then accordingly you'll get to know that it's not the one programming language to be suppose if you are doing manual testing, then for the manual testing there is no need to understand the programming language to test the software, because whatever the requirements, now we are going to see in testing phase, whatever requirements, according to that testers are going to write test cases, and according to that we are testing the software. We are not checking the software by programmatically. So developers are developing that by using some Java language. Suppose there's some in project, some requirements of the C++ or Python. According to that, developer is going to develop. But for manual testing, there is no need of any programming language. You can check based on the requirements, based on the test cases only. And yes, in automation, of course, suppose your project in your project they have decided to do automation also. In automation, most of the companies using Selenium framework. So in the automation session, we are going to see why Selenium is based, or why we are most of the companies using Selenium. So in Selenium, they have with Selenium they have covered the Java language, Selenium Java, that we need to do. So at that time, you need to have knowledge of Java language, or they have chosen any other programming language instead of Java with Selenium. Then accordingly, you need to have the knowledge of that. You need to have the programming language. Yeah. Can I answer your question, Dharmavir? For testing software, for manually testing, you don't need to have any knowledge of programming language, like just basic. But for manual, you don't have any. But for manual, yes, you need to have the knowledge of programming language. Okay. So the fourth phase is testing phase. So what happens in this testing phase? So whatever I'm going to explain in testing phase, there is another software testing life cycle. So we are now we are covering the development life cycle. So what is the software testing life cycle? This is the testing phase. So each and everything will be explained in software testing life cycle. What we are going to cover in this testing phase. So I'll be covering each and everything in detail in software testing lifecycle. Here I am just explaining testing. Now the build has done, the build has completed. Developers, the output of the coding phase is a source code document and the exe file, the build.exe file. So the input for this testing phase is only .exe file. So developers are not going to share the source code document with anyone because of the security reasons. So that is the outcome of coding phase, but that is not the input for testing phase. Developers are just going to share the .exe file, which is built to the tester to test that software, that build. Okay. So once that software is complete, developers are giving that build to testers. Then what testers are doing on that? Testers are testing that build according to the requirements. So while when we have seen the phases like requirement gathering, analysis, design, coding. So till that time, what testers are doing, they have already got the requirements. According to the requirements, they are writing their test cases. So what are the test cases, test scenarios, how to write test cases? I'm going to cover each and everything in detail in the test cases topic in the upcoming sessions. So for this phase, you just need to understand till that time testers are writing the test cases according to the requirement. And in this phase, they are testing the application according to those test cases. And something is not working according to that requirement, then what testers will say, this is the bug or the defect. Okay, then they are raising the defect and they again tell the developer that this particular thing is not working according to the requirement. Then developer is going to fix that, and again tester is going to retest. And what is retesting, regression testing, all of the things we are going to see in there. Okay, but here you just need to understand they are testing the application. If if anything is not according to the requirement in that application, they are raising the defect. And after all of the defect fixing, and now tester is thinking that okay, the software is stable now and not any major defects in the software, then the next phase will come. So while this testing phase, what are the documents that testers are going to prepare? So the first document is a test plan. So test plan, what is it? According to the IEEE 829 standard template is there for test plan. There are 17 attributes. So we are going to see this test plan in software testing life cycle. There are 17 attributes, and according to that, this test plan document is prepared by some senior, or you can say it depends on the project. In some companies, the manager will say like for the junior also you can prepare the document, and after that they are reviewing the test plan document according to the requirements. In some projects, test plan document is already prepared by the customer or client only, and we just need to understand that. Then test scenario document is also prepared. There are whatever scenarios in our project, like whatever the requirements of clients, based on that what are the scenarios, and based on the scenarios what are the test cases. From we are making test cases from the scenario documents. So I think here you are getting a little bit confused between scenario and cases and all. So we are going to go each and everything. I'll clear all your doubts what does test scenario and test cases. For this phase, you just need to understand these are the output of this testing phase: test plan, test scenario, test cases, and defect report. As I mentioned, something is not matching to the requirement, then we are raising defect, and the defect report is the document. So defect ID, and what is the object in the sense, what is that particular defect, what are the steps to reproduce that defect, we just need to mention in the defect report document. And the last document is test progress, means when we have started our testing, when we need to end, what is the progress of testing, we have covered 100% test coverage or not. All of these things mentioned in the test progress report. So these are the outcome of the testing phase. So this is the testing. Any questions so far? If source code are visible, then can we call this is vulnerable? Yes, you can call it because source code is not visible to testers, and it should not happen because developers are not going to provide any source code document to testers or any other because of the security reason. They are just having that document with themselves only. And if you work in organization, then you get to know there are some organization rules, standards that you need to follow, that you need to maintain. And if something like this happen, then yes, definitely you can call this vulnerable. It should not be accessible to or visible to any other employee or any other persons than the developers. And this session will have that demo for software testing. Okay, demo in the sense what you want from me, like question is you, why developers should not test the software they wrote. Okay, good question. Why developers should not test the software they wrote? Okay, I'm just giving a very simple example. And who in this session will have the demo? Rahul. So what you want to say in this session, we will have that demo of software testing. Is what you want. Please specify. Till that time, I'll give the answer why developers should not test the software or test the code at their own. So very quick example. Suppose I asked you people now the write one essay or write yeah, take example, write one essay for on this particular topic. So I ask you to write. So all of you will write whatever topic I'll give you. You'll write the essay on that topic. Okay. And after writing, I'll say that I'm not going to review your essay. Whatever you have written, you just need to verify that. So what you will say? Whatever I have written, I'll give 10 out of 10. So every person is thinking that whatever I have written or whatever I have made, that is good. Everyone should like to appreciate, right? Whatever the thing is, means no one is going to say that whatever I have written is wrong, or whatever I have written is means other likes it or not. That is the another thing. But first of all, if I ask you to judge yourself, then no one is going to doubt on themselves. They'll say, no, I have whatever I've written, that is good. I'm satisfied with this, and I'll give a 10 out of 10 marks. So that is the reason. That is the human mentality, you can say. So if developer is writing the code by themselves, and we ask only developers to test that particular thing, then what they're going to say, I have written the code, I think there is no any wrong in that particular code. Whatever I have written, the code I have developed, that is the correct. So that is the human mentality. Because of that only testers came into the picture. Testers cannot assume, they need to think practically. Means suppose they need to think from the customers or a real users point of view. Suppose I am the customer, I am the user, I what are the expectations from WhatsApp applications, though that fulfills from requirement should fulfill from the application. So accordingly I'll test. I need to think from the user's perspective. I am the user, I am going to use that particular software. Then what are the possible scenarios, what are the possible conditions that I need to cover in my test cases, and accordingly I need to test my software. So that's why testers are there to test the application. I have answered your question or not? It's not like that lazy developers or what. Working for software testing in automation manual testing. Okay, Rahul, you are saying the demo, or I'll show you just a basic example of test cases in the upcoming session. Means how we are going to actually demo in the sense I'll show you. In the agile, there are sprints, there are user stories. What is user stories? What is the sprints, and how we are working testers manually, and automation session we are going to cover the automation. So yeah, I'll show you how we are working for manually in the projects in the real life scenarios. Okay. So Dharma is saying lazy developers. So no, it's not like that lazy developers are everyone is like whoever developer and tester is there, they are building the code, or they are developing the application according to the requirement. They are also doing their work by them, whatever they know, whatever they understand. And sometimes it might happen that while building the code, you developer is understanding the requirement wrong, or it might happen that they are having another assumption related to that requirement. And the suppose testers are clear, like this is no, that is not the requirement what you are saying. They have said that, or they have mentioned in the document that in this way that particular thing should be fixed, or that particular field or place should be fixed in that application. So accordingly, developers and testers will work. They need to they are in the same team. Uh, as a team member, you need to think, and as a team member, you need to work in the organization. So yeah, so this is the testing phase, and testers are testing the application based on the requirements, based on the test cases, and these are the outcome of this testing phase: test plan, document, scenario, test cases, and defect report, and test progress report. So yes, testing we are going to cover in more depth in the software development life cycle. The next phase is installation and deployment phase. So what happened in this phase is, now developers have developed the application, tester has tested that particular application, everything is done. Tester is saying that application is stable. What is mean by stable? That we are also going to see. Application is stable means there are no any major defects in that application, and whatever requirements has specified by the client, that application is working like that. So after that, installation team is there, one deployment team is there, that they need to install that application and they need to deploy the application. So after deploying, they are preparing the user manual guide. So if we are purchasing something, so we are getting user manual, right, how to use that particular thing. So likewise for the application also, we are installing the application, we are deploying in the sense, if there are application, then they are deployed into the Play Store. If it's requirement related to Apple iOS, then they are deployed into the App Store. So we are getting, customers are able to install the applications from there, and after that we are using the application. So how to use that application? There are user manuals or user guides, or there are some instructions they are going to cover in this installation and deployment phase. So for this, there is separate team for installation and deployment. Means whatever the knowledge required to deploy that particular applications on the App Store, Play Store, so there is a different team, so they will work on that, and they are installing and deploying the software. And the last phase is maintenance. So now the software has developed, it is installed and deployed. Now customers are using, client has used that software. Okay, so after that, after client is using that software, so there are two types of changes comes into this phase, in maintenance phase: adaptive and corrective. So what is adaptive? Suppose my whatever client's requirements are in the application, now I have downloaded that application from the, installed the application from the App Store, and I'm using that application. Okay, so what is this adaptive change? After using that application, I thought that these are the features, and I also need this particular extra feature in this application. Now I want to add this feature. Then again, that client or customer is approaching to the company to add this particular feature into that application. So that is the enhancement, and that is the adaptive change. Okay, we need to enhance the application. We are adding some extra functionality into the application. So this is the adaptive change. And corrective change is what? There are three things: bug fixing, defect fixing, upgrade, modification, and third thing which I mentioned in the next slide is removing. So I'll explain what are these three things and what are these corrective changes. So I'm using that application customer or client, and so bug fixing or defect fixing, some bugs are reported because of some scenarios which are not tested at all. So in testing phase, suppose tester has not covered any scenario, and still the application is deployed to App Store, and customer is using and client is using that application, and at that time if client found any defect, like this is the thing that is not working, whatever I have mentioned. So at that time, client will say that this is again bug in this application, and again approach to the company to fix that particular thing. So that is the corrective change. Okay. And the second thing, upgrade or modification. Suppose if you want to upgrade the application, okay, and we need to modify something in that application in the existing feature. In adaptive changes is what they need, extra feature, they need very different feature. And here in upgrade and modification means what, in the existing feature only they want to modify something. This is the upgrade and modification. And third thing is removing in the existing application only. Suppose they see now, oh, this part, I think there is no use of this part or this particular function in this application, now I want to remove this functionality. Then this will be covered in your corrective changes. And when you work in the project, then there is a concept like CR, change request is there. We need the client need to raise a CR or correct change request for that, and after that only project members will take the action on that. Accordingly, they will work on that. Are you these all are 6 phases? So installation, deployment, and maintenance. Do you have any questions on this? Do you understand, or do you want more explanation? Any reply? I'm not able to see any reply from anyone. There is any doubt related to this installation, deployment, and maintenance phase, or are you able to understand whatever I have explained? No doubt, understand, clear, ma'am. Okay, okay, then we'll proceed with the next concept. So this is the software development life cycle. Now we'll move on to the next topic, which is software testing life cycle. So yeah, it's mostly 1 hour now. So Deepa, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So can we take 5 minutes break or?
Yes, ma'am. If you want, you can.
Okay. Okay, we'll just take 5 minutes break. At 11 sharp, 11:05 will come, and I'll start the topic STLC, software testing life cycle. Okay. All students, sure, ma'am. Okay. Okay, we'll just 5 minutes. We'll take 5 minutes, and after that will come. Hello, everyone. All people are there. Please let me know in the chat box. We'll wait 1 minute and then we'll start at 11:05. Am I audible, Deepa?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. I think only between enhancement and upgrade modification, both is used to upgrade more features in existing application. Okay. Okay, Venkatesh. So, what is the difference between enhancement and upgrade? I'll explain first. I'll share my screen. Enhancement is what? We are adding extra feature into the existing application. So whatever we are having our existing application into them, suppose client is saying I want to this particular extra functionality, like some module or related to their requirements, they want some extra feature, then that is the enhancement. We are doing enhancement of the existing application. And what is this upgrade and modification? We are doing upgrade and modification into our existing application. Suppose there is some suppose a customer is having requirement, once user is logging to the application, then user should be able to see the home page. Now customer thinks that no, this page, after logging into the application, user should be able to see some another page. On that page they are having the main functionality or core some features like that. So instead of home page, user should be redirected to this page. Now suppose they have changed the requirement, or they ask us to change something in the existing application, that is the modification we are doing in the existing application. So this is the difference. Enhancement is we are adding extra feature, new extra feature into the existing application. Are you understood? You mentioned that both is used to upgrade more features. No, we are not upgrading more features in existing. In enhancement, we are adding extra feature, a very new requirement into existing. And in upgrade and modification, we are upgrading and we are modifying the existing application. So just a basic or a little difference is there. Are you clear with this, Venkatesh? Okay. Are you there? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, ma'am. You just do one thing. You just like solve all the queries at the end of the session.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. Okay. The next thing is now software testing life cycle. We'll start with this. Now we have covered SDLC, software development life cycle. Now we are going to cover software testing life cycle. So SDLC stands for software testing life cycle, and as a what is this, we are going to see in depth. So this is as SDLC is the journey of the product from raw to original. So SDLC is only for testing. So the fourth phase from SDLC, software development lifecycle, the testing phase. So in that testing phase, what are we doing? That is covered in STLC, software testing lifecycle. Okay. So in this, what is this? A sequence of different activities performed by the testing team to ensure the quality of the software or the product. Okay, the sequence of the activities that testers are going to take in in this particular software testing lifecycle in the testing phase. That is the sequence of the activities mentioned. a good software tester is expected to have good knowledge of the STLC lifecycle and its activities. So every time in the interview, you'll be get to ask this question: what is software testing lifecycle? As this is the important thing in STLC. So it's an integral part of software development lifecycle. As I already mentioned, in SDLC, there's the fourth phase, testing phase. In that phase, this software testing lifecycle, we are following this phase thoroughly. So what are these phases and all we are covering in the testing phase, we are going to see in depth. Okay. So there are 5 phases for software testing lifecycle. We are going to see each and every phase. So in STLC, this is the theoretical, what is the STLC and what we are going to step by step. I have provided in this PPT for you guys to understand. Means whenever this session will end, then this PPT will have with you, and by going through these, we will be able to understand, we'll get to know what is STLC and what are the phases. So that should thoroughly I have mentioned the topics, and here I'm explaining you what is the basic need software testing lifecycle and what is this. Okay. So after reading this, you'll be able to understand it thoroughly. So first phase is test planning and control phase in software testing lifecycle. So what happens in this phase? Test planning and control. So here we have divided this particular phase in 2 parts. First is test planning and another is control. So what happened in this test planning phase? As I already mentioned, we are in the sense testers are going to prepare the test plan document in this phase. So in this test plan document, there is the standard template IEEE 829 test plan standard template. In that there are 17 attributes mentioned in the test plan, like when to start testing, when to stop testing, what are the risks that are going to that are going to raise into the application while testing that particular thing. So all of these things mentioned in the test plan document. So here we are preparing the test plan document. Okay. So during this test planning, we make sure that we understand goals of the customer, stakeholders, and project. We also analyze the risk which testing is intended to address, and the main task is to determine the test strategy and test approach. Means how we are going to test this particular application, that testing strategy and test approach we are going to decide. So test planning is an activity which is done by senior tester, test manager, test lead, or test coaches. Okay, so it depends on the project. As I already mentioned, some project manager will ask or junior also to write test plan document. It's not necessary. Senior person is making that, but of course senior person are going to review that document, and if they want any changes to make into that document happen, then they will ask that particular person again to make these changes and make this document accordingly. So this is the test planning. In this, we are deciding test strategy, test approach, how we are going to test that particular application. Yeah, so this is planning and this is test control. So what's happened in control? The senior person is going to analyze, or senior person is going to monitor the things whatever happens in testing phase. Like we have mentioned in test plan document, when to start, when to stop, what is the test strategy, test approach. So accordingly things are working in the testing phase or not. So that senior person is going to analyze, senior person is going to monitor, control the things. Okay, control is the ongoing activity of comparing actual progress against the plan. So whatever we have mentioned in the document, that is our plan progress, and the senior person is going to monitor or analyze that plan progress with the actual. Means actually how many testing, how many percentage of testing we have completed, or that is completed according to the document. Means all of the things are working according to document or not. Okay. So the deliverable or outcome, you can say, of this test planning and control phase is test plan document that created by senior tester, TL, or team member. So are you understood the first phase, test planning and control? Okay. Okay, Venkatesh has replied to that. Clear. Okay, are you all understand the first phase, test planning and control? Or do you have any doubts? Then write down just here. As Deepa mentioned, at the end, we are going to cover all of the doubts. So this is the test planning and control phase that we have covered. The second phase is test analysis and design phase. So what happens in this test analysis and design phase? So test analysis is what the first outcome of the first phase is test plan document. So analysis is going to happen on the test plan document. Okay, and according to that we are making the design. So how we are making the design, that we are going to see. As mentioned in the PPT, test analysis is process of analyzing all the documents from which the requirements of component or system can be inferred, and defining test objectives. It covers what is to be tested in the form of test condition, and we can start as soon as the basis for testing is established for each test level. So in the form of test conditions means what? Test conditions, whatever the requirements are there, according to that we are preparing test conditions and scenarios. So suppose this is the condition, I want one field in which the age range should be 1 to 18 only, that particular field should accept these values only. So this is one condition. So from this condition you can create one scenario. You can say this is the scenario. For this one scenario there are lot of multiple test conditions, like range is between 1 to 18, so there are lots of multiple conditions. You can create permutations, combinations, you can say lot of, you can create from this one scenario that we are going to cover in the test cases. So this is test analysis. We are doing analysis, and after that the next is test design. So design is the process of defining test conditions and creating the test scenario document. So here we are, from test conditions we are preparing the scenario document. So scenario document is created by senior tester, team member or team lead. So when you'll actually work in the organization, then at that time it depends on the project. Means some of the projects will ask you to create scenario document, but whatever I have worked this so far, so I have not seen any scenario document, but test cases document. Scenario is important, but they are not preparing any scenario document for that. But from this scenario or from the requirements, they are preparing the test case document. Okay, but there are some projects in which they want the scenario document to be prepared, and from those scenario they are preparing the test cases. So here in the second phase, test analysis and design, we are doing analysis on the requirements and test plan document, and according to that we are preparing the scenario document. Design means in design phase we are preparing the scenario document. So this is the outcome, or you can say deliverable, for the second phase of the software testing life cycle: test analysis and design. Understood? You all are not replying. Are you there? All of you are there? Are you listening? Abhishek, Ankish? Yes, yes. Okay, okay, okay. Then the third phase of software testing lifecycle is test implementation and execution. So what what happens in this implementation phase? So based on the scenario document, we are implementing the test cases here. So I'll give just example. As I mentioned, there is a field that should accept the values, or that ranges between 1 to 18 only. Or you can say just a simple example for the login. So at the time of test case and test scenarios, we are going to cover that topic in detail. But as of now, to just understand how is scenario and how is test cases we are implementing in this third phase, I'm just giving a simple example. So suppose login module is there, login functionality is there. Okay, and what is the client's requirement? Username, password field should be there, cancel login button is there, user should be able to log in. So this is, you can say, one scenario, right? Login is one scenario. From this scenario, how many test cases you can prepare? There are multiple combination. So from one scenario, there are 4 test cases you can implement. How? For example, suppose like, and then how can we write test cases? That also we are going to cover in depth. I'm just giving you example, one example here. So for this login module, this is one scenario, and from this scenario we are implementing test cases. So there are 4 test cases to verify that user is able to log in into the application with valid username and valid password. This is the first. Okay, what is the second? To verify that user is able to log in into the application with valid username, and user is not able to log in into the application, okay, with valid username and with invalid password, because when you are entering invalid password, at the time user should not be able to log in into the application. So this is second. Third is user is not able to log in into the application with invalid username and invalid password. And fourth is what? Invalid username and valid password. User should not be able to log in. So likewise, this is one scenario of login, and from this one scenario, we are implementing 4 test cases. So tester need to think according to this. I mean, from one scenario, how many test cases can we cover? There are positive as well as negative test cases as well. So how we are going to cover positive and negative based on the scenario. Okay, suppose there are some things as I given you, given you one example, like ranges between 1 to 18. So at that time, positive scenarios are there, like positive test cases are there, like negative also are there. Then what happen if I am giving the number less than 1 or above 18? Then that is the negative scenario here, that we need the all of the test cases we need to think, and we need to cover in our test cases, and accordingly we need to test our application. So that is the implementation. We need to implement test cases here. So what I have mentioned here in PPT, in other words, a test case is a set of input values, execution preconditions, expected results, and execution post conditions developed for a particular objective or test condition. Okay, such as to exercise a particular program path or to verify compliance with a specific requirement. With the specific means we have seen the example of login functionality here. Test implementation, and here test execution. So executing the software and comparing the expected and actual results. So what we are doing, we have implemented our test cases. So based on those test cases, now we are executing those test cases. Now we are having our test cases document ready. These are the requirements that we need to test in the application. So we are reading one test case. So take an example, to user is able to log in into the application with valid username and with valid password. So this is my first test case. So I'm entering in the application valid username, valid password, clicking on login, and I'm checking that user is able to log in into that application or not. So that is the execution phase. So below are the points that need to be considered for test execution. Testing team performs actual validation of software based on prepared test cases and compare the stepwise result with the expected result. So what is the test case document that we are going to see in depth? What are the fields like test case ID, objective, and all of the things that we are going to cover in test case template. So here we are checking our test cases now. Means with the test cases document, we are checking the actual application. Then the entry criteria of this page is completion of the test plan and the test cases development page. The test data should be ready. So what is test data now? So suppose now for my first test case, username should be valid and password should be valid. So sometimes it happens in the projects that username and password is suppose I'm testing the application, and I have set some username and password for that particular field. So I'm the only person that I know that what is the valid username and what is the password. So in the test cases document, we need to specify the test data. So this is the username that should be written in that username field, and this is the valid password that should be entered in that particular field. So this is the test data. Means whatever the fields are there on the page, what proper data should be entered in those fields, that is a test data. Then the third thing is test validation of test environment setup is always recommended through smoke testing before officially entering the test execution. So this is also one of the important thing test environment setup. So I'll give you a real life example. In the project, there are not only two environments, there are three environments, like dev, one is dev environment, one is test environment, and one is client environment. That whenever product is, we are deploying the software into the live environment, that is the production environment also, and pre-production environment also is there based on the project. They want pre-production and production. So there are four: test, dev environment, test environment. So whenever developer are developing their code, they are doing their work on the dev environment. So what is this dev environment? There is a one environment prepared by the dev team to work for them, and one is the test environment. So there are URLs for that, so that will be provided to us by our team, whatever we are working in our project. Then our senior persons are there, like testers, or there are managers, the developer manager, tester manager. They are preparing the environments and they're providing the URLs to the dev team and the testing team. Like this is the dev environment. You need to work in the dev environment only, and this is the test environment. We need to work on test environment. So testers always work on test environment. So so before starting the testing, our test environment must be ready. So once the environment is ready, then at that time we are checking, developers are deploying that code to the test environment, and we are checking our code into the test environment and we are executing that. So this is the thing, and the exit criteria requires the successful validation of all test cases. So exit criteria means when we need to stop our execution. So when all of our test cases, all of our requirements, whatever we are mentioning the test cases, that we have executed all of the test cases and everything is get passed, no major defects, then at that time we are ready, means we can stop our test execution. And if there are any defects while testing test case execution, then defect summary report, as I mentioned, defect report, we need to raise a defect, then what is the defect, steps to reproduce, and each and everything we need to mention in that defect summary report. So this is the phase of test test implementation and test execution. So deliverable or outcome of this phase is test case, defect report, and execution log. So in this test case, as already mentioned, what are test cases? In defect report, what? Defect ID, what is the defect, steps to reproduce, and all, everything we need to mention. And execution log is what? How many test cases we have covered, and all. The execution means how many test cases we have executed, how many pass, fail. So accordingly, execution log we need to prepare. So this is the outcome of this third phase. So before starting the next phase, how to find the maximum case beta version? Manish, we are getting. Okay, so Manish, what you want to ask me, how to find the maximum case beta version? That alpha testing and beta testing, if you are asking beta version, and that is when your application is going into the production, at that time the alpha version and beta versions are there. Alpha version is for when we are, means our application is ready, then we are testing application at our end, that is alpha version. And beta version is what? Client is testing the application in their environment, that is beta version. And if you want more, then at the end we'll cover a thing. Now we'll move to the fourth phase. Okay. Manish, reply here. I'll see your message afterwards. So are you clear with the third phase now? We'll move to the next phase, evaluation and exit criteria. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. So the fourth phase is our evaluation of evaluation and exit criteria. Sorry, I need to make one correction here. This is evaluation, exit criteria, and reporting. I'll move this off. This is only evaluation, exit criteria, and reporting. So evaluation of exit criteria means what? When we need to exit from our testing now, we need to evaluate that thing, and accordingly we need to prepare the report for that particular thing. Okay, so what happened in this phase? Now we have in the third phase we have already tested our test cases. We have executed our test cases and prepared test cases, defect report, and execution mode. So in this phase, when to exit criteria means when to stop testing. Now we need to decide. So when we are writing test cases, so 100% test coverage we are doing. 100% test coverage means what? Whatever the scenarios are there, suppose one scenario I have given you for login, there are 4 test cases we have implemented, so we have covered that is 100% test cases, and we have executed that as well. Executed means we have tested those 4 cases, so we have covered 100% test cases. So from this 100%, sometime it might happen that 80% of test cases only 80% of test cases should be passed only, right? And 20% test cases should be failed. So that is also okay, we can stop testing. But when in that 20% failed test cases, high level defects should not be there. Okay, high level defects means major defects that user is not able to log in, so that is the blocker, you can say. So this kind of defects should not be present in the 20% failed test cases. Okay, and suppose a risk factor which will make my software unusable, so this kind of defects, blocker, major effects should not be present in those 20%. Then at that time you can stop our testing, and you can say that my software is stable in the sense whatever requirements client has given, according to that requirement my software is working. That is that at that time we need to stop our testing. Evaluation of exit criteria and reporting is what, and how many percent of test cases we have covered. 100% from 80% pass, 20% fail, we have to report about our testings. So we have done this much testing, this many test cases has passed, this many test cases has failed. We just need to give that thing in the reporting phase. So here in PPT I have mentioned some common points that are mostly present in exit criteria. All critical, high and medium priority test cases are executed. No blocker, as I mentioned, no blocker, critical or high priority defects should not be there. Then agreed fixes or medium and low priority defects completed and retested. All the test documentation like test plan, test cases are documented and up to date in the test management tool. Okay, so whatever changes we need to do in test plan document or test cases, suppose if any test cases, that means we need to add something extra, or that anything related to this, we need to update the documents and we need to manage in the test management tool. So it depends on the projects which tool you are going to use. Some projects using Jira tools and some projects are using another. Nowadays in Agile, Azure DevOps is the test Azure DevOps is the tool that they are creating. In a project we are creating each and everything related to dev test, each and everything is in the Azure DevOps that you need to use. So it based on the project, based on the company, which tools they are going to use. And it's not the hard and fast process that means while giving the interview, it's not to worry about any tools. When you'll get to into the organization, into the project, at that time you'll get the idea of the tools and everything. Now you just need to understand what are the concepts of testing, is how we are working actually, that you just need to understand. And once you'll get placed and once you'll get into the organization, at that time you'll get to the knowledge about the tools. With any tool, if any company is using, then you'll get to know. So this is the thing. And in the reporting, here we write a test, we means testers, right? Test summary report. Test summary report contains a summarized description of all the activities of testing process, and it mentions details about the defect and testing status of the process. Okay, when we are evaluating exit criteria, it's not only development team and test team need to know the outcome, but also a broader set of stakeholders need to know what happened in the testing level. So we are preparing these documents, means it's not about just for testers. We need to report like our project is there in project dev team, testing team, and a whole team is there, right? So managers and our product owner or clients are there. So in the reporting phase, if we are reporting means how what testing we have done, what are the phases, what are the documents we are preparing on our testing phase. This is the reporting. We need to report each and everything to everyone, like product owner or the client also able to understand what testers are doing, what is the status of their activities, and also this is the reporting phase. And the very last phase is a test closure activity. And the deliverable and outcome of the last phase is your test summary report, which we already discussed, and the last phase is test closure activity. So any questions on test evaluation, exit criteria, and reporting phase? No questions? All people are there, all are listening. You're finding this session helpful or not? Please reply. Then only I'll be able to understand that whatever I'm explaining, you are getting that. No questions. Okay. Okay. There are only some people I'm saying, like Venkatesh, Rahul, and Dharmavir. Only those people, Abhishek, Manish, only those people are replying. Shubham, Nazmul is the now he has replied, or Harsh. Okay. Okay. Then the last phase of the software testing life cycle is a test closure activity. So what is the test closure activity? What happened in this phase is, this is just basically closure activities are those activities which are performed at the end of the testing process, usually performed after the product is delivered. Now we are delivered our product. After determining that test execution has been complete, the data from completed test activities need to be collected and consolidated. So what does it mean? Why we are consolidating the data, and why we are collecting all of the documents and all. So this phase is basically we are updating all of the documents, and we are consolidating our documents at the end after we have delivered our product. So if take example, in future, suppose same kind of project is will come, means the project is having same kind of project is have means the same domain. There are different domains like e-commerce domain, aviation domain, banking domains, and all. There are different domains. So with this project, now we have worked on, suppose example, we have worked on the banking domain. So this is the banking domain project, and we have prepared the documents related to that test plan and all. So next time also, suppose the project will come on the based on the banking domain. So at that time we have consolidated the documents related to this project. So in future same kind of project will come, then at that time we can reuse this document. Not exact documents we can use, just to refer the template like what we have done, and if anything we are missing in the next project, suppose same requirements are there, then we can use the document. And also knowledge transfer will happen in this activity. Take an example, suppose you have delivered the product, suppose that is the version 1, and what we have talked enhancement of the project. Now in the version 2, suppose client is having another requirement, they want to add some extra features into the existing application, they want to add some new extra requirements. So at that time again we are working on the existing application, we are adding the features. So first time we have delivered version 1, now version 2 we are working. So it might happen that for version 1 there was the different team, and for now version 2 there are different people in the project. Okay, there are different developers and testers. So for version 2, whoever people are working on that, they need some guidance, what they did in the version 1 at the time, what are the documents or not. So they can reuse this document, they can get the help from this document. And knowledge transfer also happen. Knowledge transfer in the sense, suppose whoever has developed and tested version 1, so these people are still in the company, but they are in some another project, might due to be some reasons or what, they can share their knowledge with this new persons who is working on the version 2. So this is the test closure activity. So these are 5 phases of software testing life cycle, which is covering in the SDLC in the 4th phase, the testing phase. These 5 phases, testers are working in depth, like from preparing the test plan document to the test closure activity. So this is the test closure activity, and this is the software testing life cycle. So in the interview, you are going, you'll get the questions like what is SDLC, SDLC, explain. So yeah, so in software development lifecycle, that is the overview or summary I'm giving in SDLC. First, it stands for software development lifecycle. There are 6 phases in that. So that is the journey of your product from raw to original. What happened from starting to end, like how we are developing the application and to till the end. Like first we are gathering requirements, then we are preparing the designs, then we are doing coding, after that testing, after that we are deployed the software to the app store, play store, we are deploying, installing the application, and after that maintenance phase. Maintenance, what we are doing after using the application, if client is fine the any changes, then adaptive changes, corrective changes are there. So that is SDLC, overall journey of your product. And what is software testing life cycle? Software testing life cycle is based on your testing activities only. What you are going to do in testing process, your test approach, whatever the things, that these 5 phases you need to explain for the software testing life cycle. In first phase, test analysis and design. In that you are, sorry, first phase is your not test analysis and design, your test planning and control. In that we are preparing test plan document, senior person is monitoring, control means senior person is monitoring those activities. Okay, outcome is test plan document. Second phase is test analysis and design. In that we are analyzing the requirements, test plan document, and design is what we are preparing the scenario document. Third, test implementation and execution. In that, based on the scenario document, we are preparing test cases. We have seen the example of login. For one scenario, there are 4 test cases. Then we are executing those test cases based on the requirements. Your fourth phase is evaluating exit criteria and reporting. In exit criteria means when to stop testing, and we need to report our testing activities, means how many testing, means how the testing progress is happening in your testing phase, that we need to mention in the test summary report. And test closure is, we need to, after your product is delivered, when we need to close all of these activities by consolidating all of the documents, we need to update all of the documents, and we need to store those documents at one place. Whatever tools we are using, we are updating the documents and we are maintaining those documents at the end. So this is your software testing life cycle. So are you clear with this software development life cycle and software testing life cycle? At first, in the start, we have seen what is the need of, what is application need of software, what is software testing and need of software testing. Yes, yes, okay. 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 So if you don't have any doubt related to this topic, then I'll move on to the next topic. I think yes, clear. Yes, no one is having any doubt. I'm not able to remember the name. Someone has asked me to demo the software testing, like, so I'll already explain. I'll show you what is the working procedure exactly. I'll not able to share my whole screen because of some company restrictions and all. I'll take these screenshots of some user stories or some requirements, and I'll show you in the screenshots means how the user story or the things should look like. Okay. Okay, so proceeding to the next slide, I just wanted to tell you, I have not covered that particular thing in this PPT, that agile thing. There are models also, software testing models. You might be heard about those, like spiral model, waterfall model and all. So waterfall model and all, they are used for very small projects when requirements are clear. But I'll just talk about agile model, because most of the companies nowadays using agile. So why we need to use agile, and how we exactly work in agile models. Okay, so suppose I'm giving you example. Suppose client has some requirements and we need to develop the application, right? So they have given, we have developed, and again client come to us and they ask us, this is the new requirement, again you need to work on this, or this is the modification that we have seen in enhancement and adaptive changes and corrective changes, that in maintenance phase. So again client come and they are telling us that add this feature or remove this feature. So how many times you are going to do this? Like if the client will come to you and the client will ask you to do the changes 100 times. So then how you can proceed with this, how you can handle this particular situation. So at that time, agile is an iterative model. Okay, at that time we are using agile model. So how why we are using this agile? So to handle this kind of scenarios, like suppose in agile you might be, I'm not sure how many people have heard about the agile terms like sprint retrospective, sprint demos, scrum master and all. So these are the terms that we are using in agile. So what happens in agile, suppose your project is based on the agile model. So there are some requirement client has given, so we are dividing those requirements in particular user stories. So now what is user story? Suppose I'm telling you, I want one feature that for very first thing in every project, that in most of the applications user should be first logged into the application, and after that another things are there. So the very first thing, login model. After that, user should be redirected to this place on this functionality, and after clicking on some buttons, then user should be redirected to that. So I have already discussed in coding phase, developers are going to divide this requirement. So what happened? They are preparing the user story. So who is going to prepare this user stories? Product owner. Product owner is there, and business analyst also there. If business analyst is in your project, then they are preparing these stories. And in some of the projects, because of budget issue or what, they are if business analyst is not there, then product owner is the person from the client only. That is the client person. He is having a proper understanding of technical he is having the knowledge of technical perspectives, he is thinking, so he is having the technical knowledge also. So they are giving you the requirement. He is the person or she is the person, product owner. They are preparing the user story. So what is user story? In user story, it is explicitly mentioned that for the first point, I want it's not mentioning that I want, like user should be able, username field should be there, username field. Second thing, so password field. So what is the username? Username field, what is the character limits? That also explicitly mentioned in the user story. That is in the requirement. For this requirement in the agile, you can say the user story they are preparing. So in this first, username, what is the character limit? Password, and by default password should be encrypted. That is by default understood. Okay, the length of the password also mentioned, cancel button and login button. Okay, so these are the things mentioned in the user story. And in another user story, it's mentioned what after clicking on cancel button, what should happen, and after clicking on login button, what should happen. That is considered that is covering, that will be covered in the another user story. So what a developer will do, whatever mentioned this particular user story, they will just prepare one field, username, this is character, and what this is the criteria for this password, and this is the limit, and only cancel and login button. He will not develop, he will not write the code by on clicking what should happen. He just placed the fields like cancel button and login button, and whatever the another user story, in that user story it will be covered. After clicking on cancel, what should happen, that another developer will work on that particular thing, and after that they are going to integrate these things. Means while testing, we got whole module or whole functionality. So in agile there are sprints also. So in one sprint, suppose they have taken 5 user stories, whatever user story now I have mentioned, like in first is this should happen, in second this happen, third there are 5 user stories. So these 5 user stories, and there are story points as well. So based on the complications and all, when you'll actually work on that, you'll get to know based on the complication of that user story, how many story points you need to give to that user story. Okay, so developers will take this different user stories. Suppose there are 3 developers, so one developer is going to take 2 user stories, another is going to take 2, and one user story is for one developer. So based on the story points, now when there are 2 developers which is having 2 user stories, the story point, each story point is 2 for that user story, and one story is for 5 points. Then
another developer is having based on the complexity of that requirements. Okay, so in this way, in Agile, the user stories will different divided. Developer will work on that, and after that integration will happen, and a tester will test that particular user story, and at the end when we are pushing that particular whole thing into the production, then we are integrating and moving that thing to production. So tester need to do test the in sprint. Tester need to test that particular individual user stories on the test environment. So first sprint is for 2 weeks or for 3 weeks, then developer will work, then that user story will come to tester, they need to test, they will raise the defects, again developer will fix. So likewise in Agile, in sprints testers and developers are working. There is a scrum master. What scrum master is going to do, there are sprint planning calls means the requirements we need to gather, like in the next sprint there are these 10 user stories that we need to develop. So product owner is having that call, he is explaining the requirements to us. This screen should be look like this. See, this is the requirement I am having. So at that time, if you are having any doubts, you are not crystal clear to the requirements, then you need to ask those doubts in that call, sprint planning call. Once that is done, then daily you are having your daily stand-up calls, what you have done today, what you did yesterday, what is the agenda for today, and if any blockers or issues that you are facing while you are working, that is covered in the your daily stand-up calls. So are you able to understand what I'm trying to explain here in Agile, how the actual scenario actually in the organization, how Agile, how sprint, how the daily the scrum master, tester, developers, the sprint planning, all of these terms are you able to understand? Yes. Okay. Okay. Okay, and one term is the sprint retrospective. So at the end of your sprint, what happened? Suppose the client has mentioned this 10 user stories we need to cover in the sprint one. So if you are committing that, yes, developers are sure that yes, we are able to finish those, and tester also, yes, we'll able to test that particular thing. Then at the end, we need to develop all of the 10 user stories, and we need to give that 10 user stories to client. Okay, and at the end there is a sprint retrospective call. So what might not go well in your last sprint, and what improvisation you can do, and what are the things that you need to improve, like that is the sprint retrospective. What are the actions that you need to take in your next sprint. Whatever mistakes you have done in your last sprint, you need to cover those, you need to handle those in the next sprint. So that is the sprint retrospective calls. It is for the improvement. Like in last sprint, it might happen that developer has taken some long time to develop the application, and tester just got last 2 days to test the application. So in that sprint retrospective call, you can mention that we are not get enough time to test our user story, so we'll at least require 4 to 5 days to test the application. You can mention like this, the things not might go well in that section, you can say. So yeah, all of the things are discussed in that call, and next time, so that you will get enough time to test, so you can mention, and likewise your developers will improve. Or sometimes it might happen some defect or something that might be missed by tester. So because of that, what happened, we need to push that particular thing into production. So yeah, accordingly, in retrospective, what are the improvements we can do, and what are the things we can make efficiently, all of these things handle in that retrospective call. So this is the agile model I have explained in briefly, like a real scenario in the organization, how we are working. So in tomorrow's session, maybe I'll just give, I'm not able to share this, all of these things like use this, but I'll take screenshots just to understand you, and I'll just to show you how is the, how are the things work. So this is the real life in organization we are working likewise. If anyone asks you, do you know agile, what are the sprint? Sprint is for 2 to 3 weeks. It's based on, it depends on your scrum master or product owner is deciding the limit. The sprint should be for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So sprint retrospective, sprint planning, daily scrum master, developer team, tester team, on business analysis is based on the project. So these are all the things. Are you all clear with this? This I have explained apart from the session, like Agile. Nowadays, everyone is using Agile very, so that's why just for your information, I've shared these things. So yeah, 8 minutes are remaining. So do you have any doubts? Then please ask me. So tomorrow then we'll start with methods of testing. Whatever the topics that we are in the what are the pamphlets we have given in that mention, we are going to cover all of these topics. So do you have any doubts, any questions on today's session? You can ask me. Can you detail me performance testing? Okay, so that is not covered in our session, performance testing, but yeah, I'll brief you like a basic on performance testing. Maybe at the end of that, I'll note it down. I'll give you the just a glance of performance testing. What are the tools and all? I have noted it down. I'll explain you. Ma'am, tomorrow demo, please. Demo means what? I'm just giving the screenshots. I'm not able to share like means whatever the content I'm having, it's related to my project. I'll try to make some temporary content, but I need to share my project content only, right? Azure DevOps, and also because of the restrictions, authentication issues, I'm not able to share that. But I'll try to share like screenshots. Not able to give the demo of the at the end of the session. I think first we'll cover methods of testing, types of testing, test cases, test scenarios, each and everything. Then at the end, I'll definitely show you how we are working, how's the user stories and all, everything. Okay. And at the end of the session, you'll get to know what are the interview questions that in the interviewers will ask you related to software testing. And I'll also share the basic for the automation also, what at the beginner level, what are the interview questions that are going to ask in for the automation. So no doubts. What is different between? Yeah, yeah. So Pankaj, you have asked the question SDLC and Davis scopes. Okay. So I don't think there's a difference SDLC and Davis scopes. I think Davis scopes is means whatever I have heard. I have not worked closely related to this Davis scopes, but what Davis scopes is I think it's a tool. It's a management tool. So whatever development life cycle we are following, some companies are using that tools to manage all of these things. So I think there is no such kind of a difference. Software development life cycle is your life cycle to develop your product, and DevScopes is, I think, it's a tool. It's a management tool. You need to manage all of the activities with using this tool. So I only know this, and I'll read more about, and I'll get to know. I've not worked on, so I'll brief you more on this. As of now, I only know this is the tool, that management tool we can manage. So I think I don't think this is a tool, but whatever I have, it's a tool. It's a management tool, but I need to check them. Pankaj, I will brief you on this. Any other questions? Only some people are only throughout the sessions are interactive, like Pankaj, Venkatesh, Rahul, then Kanchan. There are lots of people, so no one is having any doubt. If no, then yeah, Dharmir also. Sorry, yeah, you also. If you're not having any doubts, then yeah, Deepa, then today we can stop here only. And